Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today is Shop My Stash Day. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. And if you're new to this series, every month my friend Kelly from GlamWithKelly and I pick a theme and we shop our stash within that theme. And it only took the quarantined, apocalyptic COVID-19 virus for Shop My Stash to sweep the YouTube platform again. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited to let you know that you'll be seeing a lot more content like this from my channel going forward. I, like a lot of people, am no longer purchasing makeup given the current circumstances. Anyways, all of that aside, I want to ask you very kindly to go check out Kelly's channel as well as her video. You will really love her vibes. And speaking of vibes, this month we're shopping our stash for Peachy Vibes. For me, peach is a beautiful, it's like my favorite spring color. I mean, it's a favorite color all the time along with yellow, but peach, I mean, I just can't wait to wear peach during the spring. So that's what we're doing this month. I also wanted to make you aware that this month I am taking a break from my unofficial Project Pan items. I'm going to put them back away in their respective homes over here in the drawers and just focus on these products from my Shop My Stash, as well, of course, trying out the new products that I did purchase. So let's talk briefly about March before we get into this look, but I will go ahead and put a timestamp on the screen right here for you, letting you know if you want to just skip forward to the get ready with me. This is going to be a long video. So in that realm, I am going to just tell you my 3 favorite products from the month of March, starting with the Ofra and at March Beauty Word highlighter. I had such a good time reaching for this all month long in March. This is a part of her new collaboration with Ofra, and I believe it's called the Start Inspired highlighter now. I don't know if I'm supposed to continue calling it at March Beauty Word because that's what it is, or if I should call it Start Inspired because that's what it's called in her collection, and it's the same highlighter. Let me know what you guys think I should do. But I really enjoyed using this. My favorite way to use this is to just swirl it together. It makes a beautiful sort of nude highlight, and it's popping, but I'm all about that life right now. And then one of the other face products that I enjoyed so much in March was my newer Marc Jacobs Omega bronzer in the shade Tantastic. Looks like this. You could see I made a little dent this month. I used the absolute snot out of this, used this every day pretty much that I was using a powder highlighter, bronzer. And I just love everything about it. It's blendable. It's a perfect tone for me. It's not orange, but it's not cool tone. It's pretty darn close to neutral with just a titch of warmth. So I really love this bronzer, and I'll be sad to put it away, but you know, I can dig it out if I want to. And then the other product that I had an absolute blast with this month, including in my 3 spring looks video using my Shop My Stash palettes, was the Sephora Pro Editorial 2.0. I created a look using these blues down here. I used some of the pinks. I believe in my Get Ready With Me last month, I used sort of the chartreuse greeny yellow shades. So I really enjoyed this palette this month and all the looks I created with it. I will warn you that the Get Ready With Me is very long. I kind of am giving you the full story of what's been going on with my husband. If you didn't know, he's been hospitalized in the ICU at this point for the last week. By the time you're seeing it, it's a week later, so I will leave an update down in a pinned comment below. Other than that, let's go ahead and see how I created this very glowy look. All right, let's get into it. I did go ahead and do my base just for time's sake. If you have any questions about the base products, just let me know. Everything will be listed below. But the foundation I'm working on this month is the BareMinerals Complexion Rescue Tinted Gel Cream. I have mine in the shade 5.5 Bamboo. And concealer, this is only the second or third time I've used this, but this is the NYX Born to Glow Radiant Concealer. I have mine in the shade Vanilla. This was a boo-boo. I had ordered the Rimmel Stay Matte with my groceries from Walmart. I forgot to select no substitutions. Apparently they were out, and they sent me the Revlon PhotoReady translucent powder. So I'm gonna give it a shot this month. I just wanna see if I wanna keep it in my collection and try and use it up, pass it on to somebody else that it might be better for, and let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so we're ready for bronzer. I have a couple of options this month. The two that I'm not going to use today are the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer. I mostly kind of wanted this for the blush shade. It's peachy coral, really gorgeous, but I've also just been kind of longing to use this one. Also, the Smashbox Cali Contour Palette has both a contour and a bronzer shade in here for me, but the one I am going to use today is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Bronzer in the shade Park Ave Princess. I have a really nice dip going on in here. This bronzer absolutely gives me that very sun-kissed look, in my opinion. I guess that means it's kind of similar to the color that I do tan when I tan. This just blends like an absolute dream. I have not tested the waterproof claims on this, although, you know, it is not a bad one to be wearing when I'm sweating. For blush, I already showed you this beautiful coral blush in the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer in the shade Sienna. I don't know if I said before Sienna. I also have this somewhat neutral blush here in the Smashbox Cali Contour Palette. I also have the Anastasia Blush Trio in the shade Peachy Love. How appropriate. I really haven't used this all that much, to be honest, and you'll see kind of a little bit of a theme of that this month. And then I have the Then I have the Essence Satin Touch Blush in the shade Satin Love. Another that I have not used all that much. And I actually think I'm going to go with this one today. I think this is like the most neutral, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do in my eyeballs yet, so I think I'll go with this one. I'm just taking this on my angled blush brush from Delian Tools. It's a really pretty color. I know a lot of people at least used to love this blush, so I'm all about that. And what an affordable option. I mean, this is one that I feel safe in saying it's affordable, because I think it's like $3 on Ulta. Wow. Okay. Blendage. I hope you are all staying well. I hope you don't fault me for waiting this long to say so. I'm filming this about a week ahead of when you're going to see this. If you are not aware, oh boy, I feel myself getting emotional already. Good grief. If you're not aware, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should. Not really. It's not a fantastic Instagram page or anything. But anyways, I had let you guys know on Instagram that my husband, Brian, has been in the hospital. He's been in the ICU just a little over a week at this point. So if he's still in the hospital, I'll let you know in that pinned comment. But he went to urgent care, and he had been sick for quite some time. You know, like, it started out as a sinus infection, then it moved to pneumonia, then it was bronchitis, and then it was back to pneumonia. And by the time it was back to pneumonia that second time, in his like 4th trip to urgent care, they sent him to the ER. Hold that thought. For highlighter, again, options. I have the one in the Kevin Aquan palette. I have 2 options here in the Smashbox Cali Contour palette. This is really, really pretty. But the one I just have to use today because I've been longing to use this one as well is the Juvia's Place The Tribe Highlighter Volume 3. This is hands down one of my favorite highlighters in my collection. It is so pretty. So he ends up at the ER and then they immediately decide to admit him. I'm at home with the kids. I didn't even know he was planning to go to urgent care that day, and you know, so he did let me know. I woke up to a text message from him saying, you know, I'm at urgent care, they want to send me to the ER, what have you. So they put him on oxygen, they did a CT scan, you know, they did confirm that he had pneumonia, but they also thought that he presented very strongly for COVID-19. So they did a test and sent it off. If you're not aware, the tests usually take at least 72 hours to process. And so at that point we had no idea, but they did decide to admit him because his oxygen was so low and he was just really having a hard time breathing. But by the next day, they felt like they needed to intubate him or to put a tube down his throat to help him breathe because they didn't feel like he was getting enough oxygen on his own with the oxygen mask or cannula or whatever. Keeping in mind, at this point, after a week, I still haven't seen him, which is really hard because the hospital campuses are closed down where I live, as I'm sure they are a lot of places. Only exceptions to visitors are if you're a minor child who has a parent with you, or if you're a laboring mom who has one support person with you. This is gonna be all over the place. I totally forgot these other products that I have. So the primer I'm going to work on this month is the Ulta Hydrating Face Primer. I love this. It smells like coconuts. And then I also have 2 cream blush for this month. I pulled out the Flower Beauty Flower Bomb blush in the shade Pinched. Very peachy, very pretty. And then I also pulled out my Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand High Blush. They call it. This is in the shade Peachgasm. It's pretty much the shade of this packaging. And I haven't really found a way that I like using this yet, like a tool to apply it to kind of give it the look that I want it to do. I want it to sort of more like meld into my skin like a powder blush does, and this just seems to sit right on top. So anyways, they end up intubating him, which is very scary. I knew at that point I wasn't even going to be able to talk to him on the phone or anything, and they were going to be keeping him mostly sedated so that he was comfortable with having the tube in his throat. This is the Ulta Matte Eye Primer in Nude. After a day or so of him being intubated, he was lightly sedated enough, mostly, that he was able to send me brief text messages to let me know how he was doing, or just, you know, in general that he was okay, and to make sure that I was okay. And then they started to be concerned about his kidneys. If you're at all familiar with kidneys or whatever, if it matters to you, his creatinine was at a 4.7 the first day that they had the concern, and normally it's under 1. So that's quite elevated. By the second day, he was at like a 6.3 or something of that effect. I don't remember all the numbers. And so at that point they decided to put him on dialysis. He had to have a catheter inserted in his neck so that they could do the dialysis. And, you know, it's just all been very uncomfortable for him, and It just sucks. All right, let's talk real quick about the eye products for this month, and then I'll finish my little story. First, I've been pulling some single eyeshadows lately, and this is the L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in the shade Amber Rush. It's really beautiful, like peachy, coppery, rose gold. And then we couldn't have a peachy shop my stash without my Sweet Peach palette from Too Faced. This was my very, very first high-end eyeshadow palette, and I really love it still. And then I have one palette I've barely used and another palette that I have not done anything but swatch. So the one that I've used a few times is this palette from MAC. It's the MAC Art Library Nude Model palette. My daughter picked this out for me and purchased it for my birthday, and it does have some peachy tones in here, but also I just kind of wanted like my staple neutral palette for the month, and I think that these colors are going to be really complementary to the other two palettes. And then the one that I have not put on my eyeballs at all is the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral palette. I cannot wait to put this on my eyeballs. This is absolutely the one we're going to use today. I'm going to start with this shade right here and use that very lightly in my transition area. I cannot wait to do so many looks with this palette this month. With all of these three palettes, all of these, like it's a lot. Anywho, so, you know, he's done dialysis a few times, and after the first instance of dialysis, or the first treatment, he was back down somewhere in the 4s, which is still elevated, but better than it had been. And so that was really good. And then yesterday, which was Monday, no, it's Tuesday, I got a phone call, and I had been receiving phone calls from his phone throughout. Certain nurses just, you know, when they called to give me updates or what have you, just used his phone to call me because it was, you know, easier, whatever. And so, it wasn't unusual to get calls from his phone, but they were never him, of course, because he had a tube in his throat. He's also had a feeding tube that was in his nose. And he just looks a hot mess. Like, ugh. The pictures that he sent when he was able were just so, like, almost haunting. Like, I couldn't get them off my mind. And so anyhow, I got a phone call yesterday from his phone, and it was a very soft, raspy voice. And it was my husband. He had chosen to make it a surprise by calling me and letting me hear his voice. And we only exchanged a few words. It was very slow, it's very soft, it was very hard to hear and very hard to understand. But it just lifted my heart so much, and I took the longest nap afterwards because I think I just was so relieved. That's sort of where we are right now. The first COVID-19 test did come back negative, which I did update you guys on Instagram about that. But they did go ahead and do a second test on him because he still presents so strongly like the COVID-19 virus. So I'm praying really hard right now that that test will also be negative, and you know, that he'll be coming home in the near future. He's still on dialysis. All right, I'm gonna next go in with this shade, which is just kind of the slightly darker, more dusty version of the first shade that I used. I don't want to say I've been in denial but I'm such a do what I have to do type of person that sometimes I don't even recognize that what I'm doing is really hard or hard on me. And I think, you know, that's something that we all should look for and recognize in ourselves and acknowledge, you know, when things are hard or when things suck. I've talked a lot about that with my daughter over the, you know, last couple of weeks here, that, you know, her birthday was day before yesterday, and of course it was not the most fun birthday that she's ever had. We had to cancel her pool party, and these are all first world problems, but keep in mind she just turned 12, right? She's a 12-year-old girl. Now there's no school. She's been stuck at home for over a week now with no resolution in this, you know, in the near future. And I think that's part of what's hard about it, is that it's like, okay, yeah, spring break, woohoo, we get a week off, we go back to school, whatever. At this point, our school district has not canceled school for the year. I know a lot of districts have. We have not yet. I'm going to go into this shade while I continue talking. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit harder because there's no end in sight for her. I will say we are so blessed to have the dance studio that we do and that we go to, because they're doing virtual dance lessons through an app called Zoom, which I didn't even know about, but it's kind of like a virtual meeting kind of app. And so it's so cool, it's so amazing. I know that that was a huge deal to my daughter Hannah. I'm very thankful for it as well. She's, you know, understandably a little clingy right now because, you know, of everything going on with my husband and just the world. I think she's feeling very unsure. I take that same shade under my eyes. You know, as we all are. Isn't the unknown one of the hardest parts about this situation? And I think in life in general, anytime something is unknown, it's hard. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that's unknown, it's hard not to know what's going on. So she, you know, she's been wanting to be wherever I am, which is, you know, it's definitely okay, but I'm also sort of trying very hard to manage my mental health. You know, I'm not perfect when it comes to mental health. I definitely struggle, as I think a lot of people, if not most people, do. Oh, this shade, ever since I got this palette, ever since I saw this palette come out, I've been dying to put this peachy shade on my lid. So anyway, I have a lot to be thankful for. I hope that you guys are finding things to be thankful for too. If you were able to stock up on groceries for a few weeks for your family or for yourself, you know, that's something to be thankful for. Today I'm thankful for the beautiful spring-like weather outside, that I'm going to be able to sit outside and not feel quite so cooped up today. Just to keep it kind of neutral-ish today, I'm gonna go ahead in with this deepest brown right here. One thing that has been a complete outlet for me is YouTube. I'm very grateful to be able to watch videos, and that there are so many videos going up right now, because people are, I mean, we're quarantined, let's be honest. I don't know that it helps to make it some kind of like a technical term. So there's been a lot of content available, which is super awesome to me, as well as, you know, I've been able at times to make some content, and, you know, yeah, makeup is sort of shallow. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, it's not important in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to just line my eyes with my Wet n Wild Simma Brown Now liner, and then smudge it out a little bit, just on the outer third of the upper and lower lash line. Oh, shelter in place. That's the term I was looking for. Let's just say it. We're quarantined. Whatever your outlet, you know, if it's binging Netflix, if it's eating ice cream, if it's putting makeup on, if it's doing a blowout on your hair or face mask or whatever it is, like, if that's helpful to you, then it's important. I think as much as possible, staying in some kind of routine, whether that's putting makeup on every day, showering every day, getting dressed every day. I highly recommend getting dressed every day. I used to be a person that was in pajamas or sweatpants all the time, and I can't even tell you what a difference it made when I just started getting dressed every day. It was really something. So anyhow, whatever it is that makes you happy and feel normalized right now is what you should be doing. There will be time later on for us to function in a more healthy way of being. I mean, if health is your jam, then absolutely do it. But for those of us that like donuts and don't like exercising, give yourself a minute. You know, I'm not saying, you know, stay fat with me or stay overweight with me. I'm saying forgive yourself for your shortcomings each day and then start new the next day. And as much as possible, like I was talking about earlier with my daughter and, you know, her birthday plans getting canceled and things like that, acknowledge that it sucks and then move on and find something positive to focus on, whatever that is. Positivity over the fact that you get to have family dinner every night, or that you get to watch a movie with your kids or your spouse or whomever on a Monday afternoon or what have you. I think that's really important to acknowledge that that's a positive thing, that's a blessing, whatever you believe. So, man, am I emotional today. What I'm gonna do is pop off of here, do something about the hair, maybe put on some jewelry, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about my Shop My Stash lippies for the month. All right, we're back. I'm definitely feeling this look now. The hair's not totally dry, so that's why it looks a little wonky. But let's talk about the lips for this month. I picked kind of one in each category, essentially. So for lipstick, I picked my ColourPop lippy stick in the shade Brink. This is a really pretty sort of, I don't know, I think it's a peachy nude. It's definitely a warm, nudie something or other. Well, I guess I picked two more like balmy, sheer kind of lip products. The first one is the ColourPop Just a Tint in the shade Gimme Some More. I love this color. And then the other one, this is a new product from Revlon. It's their Super Lustrous Shine. And this one is in the shade Nude Illuminator. It's right here. It's very sheer and it's what I've had on my lips throughout the video. These are extremely nourishing. This is not a review, but I love this, and I did get a second shade. I'm sure you'll see that in a video soon. And then for gloss, this was a product that I received from Octoly through a consumer campaign that I was able to be a part of, and I did receive this free for review from Octoly and Bobbi Brown, so thank you to both of them. But this is the Crushed Oil Infused Gloss in the shade Free Spirit. This is, I love this. It's really pretty. If you can see all the scratches on the back of my hand, that's from my bearded dragon. He just has sharp nails. It's all good. So those are the lippies I'm working with this month. Today, I feel like I want to do the ColourPop Just a Tint, but I am going to use a lip liner first. Okay, then going in with the ColourPop Just a Tint. I really like this shade. I like that. I dig it. I dig it. So this is the final look. All right, so that is it. That's the end of a very long get ready with me. If you stuck it out to the end, you can give this a sunshine emoji down in the comments, because I want to thank you personally for sticking it out through this whole video. But I hope you're staying well. I hope you're being responsible with your shopping and allowing for everyone to get what they need. And I hope if you're applying makeup during this time to lift yourself up. I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. And I will see you in my next video tomorrow.